For this video, I'm going to be taking another spin on a green and yellow list. However, this time around, it's not Fires of Creation. The deck is based around Volition. Now, if you're not familiar, Volition is amazing. This is a 2-cost card that gives a friendly minion a standard action, but in Mythgard, a standard action is a whole lot more than just attacking. So if you're coming from like the Elder Scrolls Legends, where you've got cards like Swift Strike that cost 3, and they just let a creature attack a second time, Volition here gives a minion a standard action. So in Mythgard, you can use that to move. You can certainly use it to attack. You can use it to activate abilities on minions. But the big deal here is that the way standard actions work is when you put a minion onto the battlefield, unless it has rush, it just doesn't have a standard attack. But this can give it a standard attack. So you can even use Volition to grant a minion rush. That's huge in the late game when you're dropping bombs like Sapo or iku-turso or chort stag. But really, this deck is kind of based around, you play control. It's a late game deck. You've got things like misanthropia and all the usual suspects in there. But you're trying to stall until you can get yourself to a point where you have one of these fatties on the board. Whether it's Sapo, I mean, even Harvester can get the job done with that 6/6 body. But Chort Stag, iku-turso, these are like the two big targets because they have overrun. But you wait till you get one of these on the board, and then you just jam a bunch of Volitions into it and attack until they're dead. It's that simple. I mean, I wish I could say more, but like literally that's all you're trying to do. So we're going to take this list for a spin here on the ladder, and hopefully win some games. I keep yo-yoing back and forth because I keep trying wacky things on the ladder. And we're gonna wait for our opponent to jump into this game. Maybe for the next video I'll do something aggro. Do like a red-blue enchantment variant. Hey, speak of enchantments. It's amazing how quickly Rainbow's End went from almost no play at all to almost like effectively the card for many folks. Like it's the path of choice for many lists because of the extra health and the coin. Alright, so it's a yellow-based list. Not what I was necessarily expecting. Let's go ahead and get our Born Again out there. We're going to try to keep this Bald Mountain if we can, because it's a very important part of our game plan. Both Misanthropias are great stall options. Run a one of the Revelation, just because this is a deck that is card hungry. And there's a Thane. Those Thanes are my bane. They're gonna use their coin to cycle. I mean, I'm okay with that overall. Get this done here. Slide this over just in case they try to buff this for whatever reason. Gonna have a tough call on where I want to put this Bald Mountain. Alright, a lot of options there. Could just hit this with the lead astray. It would mean giving this up, but this late, I don't think this is really the kind of value we're looking for, so I think I'm fine with this. Go ahead and put this over here as well. And then we could develop Bald Mountain next turn if we want. We also, depending on what they do, might just take the Revelation because we have an open turn. I guess it'll depend on what we draw here. Yeah, I don't really think this is a Misanthropia worthy board. Let's see what this gets us. Just another maze. I think I'll throw this maze back just so we already have our 3 yellow gems for when we do need it. But this definitely feels like a revelation turn. Because, like I said, this is a hungry deck. You're burning... You want to make sure you're burning every turn almost the entire way through.
Yes.
Alright, so we're going to take some damage there. But we will certainly hit that with a misanthropia, so... Drew another wonder drug, so this one can go. Slow him down a bit. Get that born again back. Likely develop Harvester this next turn, mostly because we want the health. Though the big body doesn't hurt. We've seen no Volitions yet. I think this is going to go in this particular instance. Again, we want to make sure that we're still burning. And we might as well just cycle and soak a wee bit. As we continue to dig. Alright, so they get the damage in, but we're going to get to draw a couple of cards off of that. And, interesting. So I think this goes. Just helps us out with our mana here. Again, at some point we need to get this developed. It's a pretty big piece of what we want to do, but I don't think this is the turn for it. I think what we're looking to do is probably something like this, just to stall a bit. Alright. Wow, burning again, huh? So it's a good pass on their part because I can't take this proactive trade without losing this. Okay, what do we want to burn here? We can get rid of both of these with the detained deported. So let's actually start by doing that. Let's also go ahead and develop our Bald Mountain here. This might be a 0 burn turn. It's that or we get rid of the Born Again. But you traditionally still want to make sure that you're burning the whole way through. My hesitation, though, is that you don't really want to give up the Volition because it's part of your combo. Misanthropia is a good panic card. We want the health from this. Yeah, you know what? Let's take that burn. I'm mostly doing that because they're down to 2 cards. Because they're on Rainbow's End, they'll only draw an additional card if it's another enchantment, so... as far as threats go, they have their power, right? The reconstruct, and we can see that on display there. And then they have the big snack over there. So here we're gonna grab this. Make that a wee bit smaller. And now we've got to burn something, and it's either got to be the Volition or the Misanthropia. I actually think Misanthropia goes back, mostly because we've got one in the discard pile, so as long as Bald Mountain stays occupied, we can get it back. So I think that's fine. That also gets us to the 10 that we want to be. So now we're just waiting to get a good fatty to stick. Like, we're going to lose our harvester here, but a good fatty to stick, and to maybe find one more volition. And that'll help us get the job done. Let's go ahead and cycle this and see what we find. There's another volition, so now we just got to find that fatty, huh? Let's detain here. Not sure I want to use the deported yet. Let's go ahead and cycle this. Born again. I think we're going to hold on the deported. Alright. I guess it's possible. What we could have done is just got back like a clay effigy to cycle, or a revelation. Maybe this shouldn't have attacked. I guess that's fair. See what we can do this next turn. We're in a relatively okay position. We just have to draw a fatty. And then we kind of have the victory. Like, if we draw iku-turso, for example, we can almost, like, win from hand. Which is just obscene to even think about. Our health is back up to a comfortable total. You can always get stuff back, so we're not too worried about that. We're going to draw 2 cards next turn because it's fall. Alright, so they're going to bring that over there because they want to contest our wardy boy, and that makes sense. Alright, so we got the other volition. So yeah, now we are certainly on the hunt, I think, for... more meat somewhere. Let's go ahead and hit this as well. Just take the damage. And call it. So yeah, with the volitions, we just need to find like any bomb. We still have sapo, chort, stag, and iku as far as like our 14 cards left. So I think we're overall in an okay position. Let's go ahead and bald this mountain. Oh, I did those backwards. Whoops. Alright, well, we'll just outright get rid of that then. And still get something else back for 2. Probably the effigy here just to cycle and put up a blocker, right? Let's go ahead and do that. Let's put this down. Let's move this over so this can start whacking there. Oh, this has Swift. That's why it's lit up. Okay. So we'll do that. 12 cards left in the deck. Again, still trying to find a bomb. Alright. Thunderclap's obviously annoying, but we still win with an Iku top deck. That's all that matters. There it is. So if you're wondering how the iku thing works, like drop iku here, kolobok goes here, so these all cost 0, and then you go volition, swing, volition, swing, volition, swing. So, you know, volition is good. Took us a little bit longer to find it than I would have liked, but I like getting wins, and a win is a win is a win is a win, so we'll take it. Let's see if we can recreate that magic for game number 2. Now, depending on, you know, how active you are in the community, you may or may not have heard some complaints about Volition, and I think that that's a good illustration as to why, because that game, you know, if you're the other player there, that game's probably not feeling like super great because you were still at like 20 some odd health and then suddenly you weren't, you know. I mean, it really sucks to get rid of this, but that's what we gotta do. Alright, so now we're up against what is assuredly going to be red-blue enchantment aggro. And this is a tough one to win. Oh, of course. I'm actually not convinced that we can win given the start they've had. We started with 2 koloboks and we landed exactly 0 of them. So we're not in a position where we are ramping efficiently. We're just gonna take the heal and pass. We're not in a position where we're ramping efficiently to get to our bombs. We don't have a good way to fight for the board as is. Most of our removal, so like detained and deported, is pretty useless against the bodies with rush. So this is going to be a bit rough. So like here we'll do this just to buy us some time, but every turn here we're going to be taking a sizable amount of damage, so I don't think that we can win this with the start that we had. Now, if we could have got some ramp from the koloboks, like if I was going into a sapo this next turn, right? If both of those would have even gotten me 1 extra mana, then sapo is kind of a big deal, right? Because sapo destroys something, but it's also a big blocker. Instead, I'm forced to use misanthropia here when my opponent is still going to have 6 cards in their hand, 7 cards in their hand after the oak. So they have 7 cards in hand to my 3. I just don't think that this ends up being very winnable from this position. Sure. Yeah, I thought I hit end turn, but I guess I didn't. Yeah, I just don't see how we can win this. Yep, this is going to come down. They're going to draw even more cards. What would we even want to get here? Wonder Drug? Maybe? But even Wonder Drug doesn't help us a ton. I mean, we can troik this, gallows here, and heal, but we're dead to any wyvern. We're dead to Wings of Abaddon. We're dead to Speedway replacement, so yeah. Bad start. I mean, okay start, but they had answers for both koloboks, and if you can't get them up and running early against a deck like that, like, you're just gonna lose. It's just the way that it is. So you got to see the good and the bad. If you made it this far, I appreciate you. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing, and hopefully you'll be watching future Mythgard videos.